So next we are going to see about the case study on smart grid. The factor that made the change in the electricity market are challenges due to the randomness in electricity production, such as renewable energy, the solar or wind energy. So now anyone can develop a solar farm or a wind farm in their own premises. So it becomes advantages, or also they become a overburden for the operators, the EB operators, electricity board operators, to where to route the power, additional power, and how to charge them, and also what are the profitability that can be given to the consumers can be thinking criteria. The ubiquitous penetration of the internet in homes and business increased the confidence on next generation smart distributed network for the mission critical application. The gradual opening of electricity market with new regulation and opening production facilities and distribution network to all actors, great fluidity in electricity trade market, and fast maturing of the regulatory framework for the active utility operators such as those implementing the demand response. The increasing volatility of electric prices and resulting from the underlying volatility of oil and natural gas, but also increasing from the propagation of external shocks such as exceptional climatic events through energy exchanges. The demand is unpredictable, and our expertise is to adapt the production to demand. Is now reversed to the production is unpredictable, and our expertise is to adapt the demand to production. So this is how we transisted from the earlier version to the newer version. So next generation communication networks are 6LoWPAN, RPL, and ETSI M2M. These are the key enablers for this evolution. So they made the communication to effectively transmit and maintain the equilibrium in the power lines. The marginal cost of electricity, that is based on peak production. The cost of electricity generated by the power plant is equal to the cost of the primary energy supply plus amortization of the plant. So as a result, the demand prediction is the key for electricity operators as it allows them to plan their production investment. The demand can be decomposed into base demand and the variable demand. The right side picture shows the marginal cost of the power as a function of the current demand and production levels. So the x-axis, you can see the total production per total demand in terms of megawatt and marginal production cost. So the curve is so linear for the starting total production, and during the time of the peak, the marginal production cost is getting raised in terms of megawatts. The probability of the density of the demand is like a peak curve. The marginal demand, the next challenge of the electricity operator, and why M2M will become a key technology. The current scenario is a tariff based time dependent tariff. So for a period of time, we are going to charge based on the unit consumption. The challenge is the increasing proportion of the production coming from the renewable energy creates a random, unpredictable change in the total production power. The solution can be the randomness of the production power requires a real-time adoption of the demand because we cannot store the energy as far as in the grid. Uh, there is no battery with kind of thing is being available. So based on our needs, it has to be produced. So there is a communication has to be maintained based on the prediction of a needed thing has to be transmitted to the generators so that they can effectively produce based upon our need. The solution, the randomness of the production power requires a real-time adoption of the demand. The tariff would need to become a dynamic, that is a change in the real time, as if a tariff remains published, the separate real-time incentives to adapt demand must be created. Example, bidirectional M2M energy management systems. The demand response for transmission system operator, that is TSO. The grid balancing authorities, the TSO, the demand left side top picture shows the demand projection by Ontario as IESO authority, that is the independent electricity operator, and the actual demand. And the below picture shows the European TSO and the CWA cross-border capacity allocation agency. There are various, as like in Tamil Nadu, the TNEB, there are various energy operators in the European market is available. So everyone will be connecting their power in the common grid, so that they need to balance the power, that is the communication is via the TSO, the transmission system operator. The TSO has a several tools to balance the network. They impose an automatic production compensation algorithm to all major production plant. The measured grid frequency is below the target. The power plant will increase the projection power injection and vice versa. The demand exceeds the power supply. The TSO can ask the producer to increase the production either the part of the contract or by purchasing this energy and import the energy from the neighboring countries or reduce the demand, the activation of power shedding bids. The supply exceeds the demand, the TSO can export the energy or sell the excess energy to best bidder. So it can be also ask the producer to decrease their productions. So this is how the balancing of the grid is maintained in certain European countries. The transmission system, that is the TSO operators are in India. There are various operators are in India. The SRLDC in Bangalore, WRLDC in Mumbai, and ERLDC in Kolkata, and NERLDC in Shillong, and NRLDC in New Delhi. So everything is connected to the common net. There is no common network, but certain cases, certain two different network are being connected to the are being interconnected, but there is no common grid is being developed in India. The power shedding, who pays what? The allocation of the TSO expenses resulting from their grid balancing activity to each commercial operator is not a simple accounting formality. The financial aspect of power shedding are even more complex. The company specialized in demand management may be a distinct from commercial suppliers and are really a new type of players. The best policy for a financial fairness point of view may not be an optional proposal from the environmental point of view. The best power reduction proposals may come from the customers of the other operator than the operator that caused the network unbalance. From each megawatt not consumed by these customers participating in the demand response scheme, the electricity suppliers will not be charging its retail price, and at the same time it's still producing the electricity it had correctly planned. Its user would demand that if the demand response mechanism had not unexpectedly changed the demand profile. Therefore, the operators of customers participating in the demand response program is still spending the current marginal cost of the power production M but no longer charges the R. The automated demand response. The demand response can apply to the process that can dynamically modify its consumption or production levels. Many industries, for example, the freshwater distribution, are ideal candidate for a demand response because they can adjust the power consumption very quickly and have the important storage capacity. Such industrial facilities typically use the M2M technology to retrieve the real-time state information. The left side picture shows the model of the water distribution system used for automated demand response program from Atleti Smart DR. The case study is from RTE in France. The public network stabilization and balancing mechanism in France, the 2008, the French national consumption is about 490 terawatt hour. The installed capacity is 118 gigawatt, provides 80 gigawatts to over 90 gigawatts at peak load. The demand varies based on the weather data. In winter or autumn, the drop of 1 degree result in additional load of up to 2.1 2100 megawatt on the French network. In summer, the increase or a drop of 1 degree brings an extra load of 600 megawatt. The public network stabilization mechanism in France. So the picture shows how the frequency is getting varied depends on the different period of time. So next is the picture shows the PP outrage and the primary control, secondary control, and tertiary control occurred in the France. So this is the actual picture of the France that is a geometrical data about the synchronous data and synchronous area and a synchronous UPS synchronous area. The public network stabilizing and the balancing mechanism in France. The left side picture shows the RTE uses the tertiary adjustment bits to maintain the acceptable supply margin during the demand peaks, the morning peaks and evening peaks. The primary adjustment mechanism, secondary adjustment mechanism and tertiary adjustment mechanism are available. The bidding mechanism where tertiary adjustment reserve. Each bid is characterized by its nature, a validity period, and a selling price. It is lastly like a buying or selling a stock based on the value what you have scored, a similar kind of thing. The activation delay and minimum activation time, the amount of the corrective power available with a minimum of 10 megawatt for an half an hour. The corrective power may consist of additional supply and power shedding and supply reduction or demand increase depending on the nature of the bid. The left picture shows if the demand exceeds supply, if the supply exceeds the demand, how the trading has been made for the power shedding. Who pays for the network balancing cost? A typical RTE daily activation profile adjustment bids in terms of in half an hour steps is being shown. The positive and negative. The excess offer correction and excess demand correction. The negative side shows the excess offer correction in terms of megawatt hour, and the positive side shows the excess demand correction in megawatt hour. The who pays for the network balancing cost. The balance responsibility entity will pay to the RTE, that is based on the upward bidder, and the similar kind of thing when the downward bidder being applied. The smart distributed energy management. The opportunity is based on the time, the typical demand profile for the summer and winter. Based on understanding the power requirement profile, we can provide a smart distributed energy management scheme for the country of France. Assessing the potential of the residential and small business power shedding, the heating and cooling control has been shown below. A typical parameter for residential home and how to calculate the residential power kind of thing is being shown. The daily power consumption as a function of external temperature, how the external temperature is being involved in the power consumption for a particular home is shown in the right side picture. The demand response, the big picture is the net from the network balancing to peak demand suppression. The feasibility of peak demand suppression is shown here. A typical daily demand profile over a period of time is shown below. How the megawatt getting varies from time to time. The peak consumption history in France and predictions shows that as per the different year data, the full business case of demand management as per the EPX spot prices depending on delivery hours monthly averages is shown. A demand response beyond heating system is sanitary hot water, air conditioning system, and controlling the public lighting and domestic and industrial refrigeration and electric and hybrid car battery recharging control. As a conclusion, the business case for demand response and demand shifting is a key driver for deployment of the Internet of Things. For years, the electricity operators have considered the demand was random and the power governed by only by the statistical laws. As a result, the electricity industry has developed extremely sophisticated strategies to adapt the production to demand in real time. The costs associated to this lack of control on demand are very high. The dimensioning of our public grid for the peak transmission and building of peak power plant used only a few hours during the year, the extremely inefficient CO2 emission during the peak hours. However, there is no easy alternative as electricity operator, despite the early attempts with the powerline communication, never really developed a communication network capable of monitoring and controlling the demand at the consumer level in real time. Thank you.